Oh, yeah. I wanted to answer the fucking questions. And I already answered them technically, because I put it in my last fucking video that I never posted because it was done at the wrong time. But I'm gonna do them now. So, I won't say the names of anyone, even though you could easily look at the post and see, but I'm just gonna read them and answer them to the best of my abilities. How long does it take to notice any differences when you start taking tea? I started noticing things in the first few days. However, I think I was just expecting to see things, and it's taken me, like, the first thing you notice tends to be your voice, and it tends to change pretty quickly, and it's the easiest to notice thing. After that was definitely hair. Or maybe, you know, the first thing was probably sweating. I ended up being, like, sweaty all the time, and it smelled awful. Acne is really hard to miss. You end up getting, like, really bad acne. Those tend to be the biggest things. As for things that I would consider actual transition markers, I didn't really see anything until, like, a few months ago. Like, coming up on the 1 year and the 1 year mark. Things like my hairline, I still don't have anything with this. My like shoulders and my hands, and today I noticed that I had a vein that I've never had before, like, and hair here. It's all within like the past few months, so it does take quite a bit. But yeah, I think the first thing I noticed was probably sweating. Yeah. The first nice thing I noticed was my voice, but the first thing I noticed was the sweat. What changes start to happen first, and which ones haven't happened? I kind of like already answered the first part of that, but what ones haven't happened? Again, this. My fat redistribution, I think, is still going on. I'm pretty sure I'm still continuously getting hairier, which is kind of scarier. Kind of scary. But, like, the insides of my thighs, but not all of it, just, like, my knee and slightly above, they still don't have hair. It's like how I had hair before. I think my hands are still changing. I think my hairline's still changing, but it's happened. Other things that haven't happened, I don't know. I think there's something about water, your female fat retaining more water than male fat. I'm pretty sure I'm still retaining a lot of water, because you tend to see males have thinner skin, I want to say, and females have thicker skin. And I feel like I still have that thicker skin, I guess. But I do believe that's changing too, because every once in a while I'll look at my hands and my arms, and if I'm like holding something, and I mentioned this in the past, it'll look manly. Next one, what are some things that happened to you but were not on the informed consent sheet? Now, I don't remember the informed consent sheet, and I wanted to pick one up to answer this properly, but, and I guess my problem is that I had already watched so many people that I already knew everything on there and above. So I guess the only way I could answer this is don't just use the informed consent sheet. And I assume if you're watching this, you're watching other people. Go watch other trans vloggers and see their experience and their transition, because a lot of people will tell you what I'm telling you, and they'll elaborate on things that other people might not think are important, I guess. About how long does it take for your period to stop or occur less frequently? Mine stopped around the time I switched to my 75 dose, which would have been about 6 or 7 months in. Now, I don't know if it was the 75 dose doing that, or if it was being that long. I think it was a mix of both, because if you go on a higher dose right away, you'll stop a lot faster. If you're on a lower dose, it just takes longer to. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it kind of balances out. How long were you on T before you noticed more people calling you sir, if that has started yet? I already covered that. Nobody has, except one tiny child at my work. What is your advice for kids or people waiting for the chance to transition? Do whatever you can to make yourself feel more comfortable. If you're able to cut your hair, I find that helped me a little bit. Be careful with that though, because sometimes like a haircut will make you look more feminine, especially because haircuts are getting a little, short hair on women is becoming a lot more popular than it was. It's not a signifier. If you're not able to get a haircut, look at men's long hair styles. Style it like that. Just looking in the mirror and seeing that you're able, and seeing that might help a bit, because like long down hair is such a stereotypical feminine thing. If you're able to, and you're not able to like transition, sports bras binders, don't get bad binders. Just don't do it. No. But if you're able to discreetly buy one or have someone buy one for you, I know that helped me a lot, even if I wasn't wearing it all the time, just when it was really bad and I would put it on putting a shirt over top and you're just like, damn, nice, good, one day. Just keep telling yourself one day. Stock up hoodies and sweaters. You're gonna overheat, but nothing hides a body like a hoodie or a sweatshirt. The only thing I wore throughout high school was sweatshirts and hoodies. And, well, no, really hoodies. I really only wore hoodies because of that. Try and find, like, I want to say, if you're not able to transition, look at teenage cis white fuckboys. And it pains me to say that, but that's usually the easiest place to start. Flat caps, can do, like, baseball hats and flat caps can do wonders, especially if they're kind of a neutral or like a dude kind of thing. Not wearing things, like, a lot of this is like not wearing things, because that was my issue, was how I appeared. So all my stuff is stemming from that information. Or that experience. Bigger shoes, like skater shoes, I guess, probably help. You don't see a lot of females wearing that, and it is kind of a fuckboy thing. Just, it's things like that, little things. One thing that helped me, switch your shampoo to, like, Old Spice or something. If you can get something that smells masculine in that Old Spice thing, you'll feel better. It's a little thing, but it helps. Same with deodorant, Old Spice deodorant. And I say Old Spice because that's the only thing I use. Well, I use less shampoo now, but I use Old Spice deodorant. A masculine smell does make you feel better, and it works better, and it's cheaper, so why not? Like, may as well. Man, that's like a whole section, but those are like my key tips. And basically just keep telling yourself one day it's gonna happen, because there's no way in hell that it's not. If you want it, it's gonna happen. Like, look at me. I wanted it. It happened. Look at everyone else that's transitioned. They wanted it. It happened. It'll happen one day. For people that are like, oh, but it hasn't happened, it'll happen one day. It might not have been that day. It might not have been yet. But if you want it, it will happen. Next one. How did you first approach your doctor about transitioning and dysphoria and stuff the first time? And any advice for someone wanting to but being too awkward to say anything? Now, I don't go to my doctor often, and I like never talk about things. So it's quite a jump of doing literally nothing, and then I have to see a doctor all the fucking time for this. I started by going to my school counselor. She hooked me up with a counselor from Quest Community Health is where I go for my injections, and they're the ones, they have been my backbone. So essentially, a community health center that's open for trans people. I'm really lucky because that's one that they really deal with, but finding something like that, so I got a counselor that came to the school for that purpose, to talk to me about trans things, and she recommended I go into a youth group. Second best thing, youth groups. Get into them. They have so much knowledge, and meeting people that are like you in the flesh that you can talk to is amazing. It's honestly an experience that I thought I would hate, and I loved it. Then, on top of that, what did I do next? From there, I asked my doctor, I think before I actually got into Quest, I had gone to see the counselor, and before I met with the Quest woman, I had gone to my doctor, and I was like, do you see any trans patients? Because she already knew I was binding, and I actually had back problems from binding, and she said, can you just not bind? I was like, no. I kind of dropped the subject. I was like, well, where do you go for information like that? She pointed me to Quest. Fast forward, I go to Quest, all that. Now that I'm on that, and Quest set me up with everything, because they have doctors there that will sign for you. So if you're kind of worried about doing a family doctor, see if they have nurses and doctors there that come and visit that can help you out in that way, because that's the point, I guess, because that's nice. From that point, I am now out to my doctor, and I still don't go to her about trans issues because I have that community health center that deals with them, but she does know, and if I do need things, like, she is there, but I guess that's kind of the thing. It's like, if you're worried to approach your doctor who knows you, who you keep visiting, see if there's another way around it. Great. Last question. Assuming you had pros and cons before starting tea, have the pros over the year outweigh the cons? Yes. All of the pros do outweigh the cons, which is why I'm on tea. There's a lot of cons, but the pros definitely outweigh it. Pros being things like my voice changing, my hair, and like my physical appearance changing, period stopping is definitely a big one. Cons being acne, basically going through second puberty, getting hairy, and I was actually really concerned about my, because your throat gets wider, thicker. I was really worried about that. I guess one con, big sweating. The cons are still essentially cons. The throat thickening that I was so worried about, I never noticed. So that worked out. So I guess it didn't really matter all that much. Another one was, like, getting hairier. I thought I'd be really really not for that. And I still kind of am, especially once it started right away. Or it didn't start right away, but as soon as it started, I noticed, I was like, oh god, because I was someone who would shave every other day, because I would, like, and I was already a pretty hairy woman, but, I would shave all the time. I couldn't be smooth enough, and I used to shave my, actually, no, I only shaved my arms, I think, once or twice, but I've done it, and, now, after all that, I'm just starting to learn to love it, so I'm not shaving as much. The ones I don't really have a problem with are like legs and armpits, because I didn't really shave those before. I do still shave my armpits, but it's like once a month, once every 2 months, maybe longer. It's whenever I feel like it, and there's a whole stigma about in my mind, shaving and masculinity there, but ones I was really things I was concerned about were like stomach hair and stuff. But I'm kind of learning to love it, and it's not as bad as I thought it was. I'm realizing. So, pro con.